Awesome. Thanks very much for this opportunity. So I don't know about you, but my threshold for tolerance of an hourglass when I'm browsing content on a mobile phone is lower than it is on a desktop, and it's pretty damn low on a desktop. So it's very frustrating to me when I'm trying to consume mobile content. I finally get to a largely textual website. Even with the high bandwidth networks, it doesn't matter. The latency is still painful, round-tripping back and forth to the network. And then when I get there, I'm greeted with text and postage stamp-sized graphics. Meanwhile, all these cool things are happening around mobile video games. They have high frame rate renders, really consumer engaging. And in the academic research landscape, there's all kinds of interesting things happening about adaptive visualizations and information visualization and adaptive UI. So how about bringing these things together into a lush, new, engaging way to consume content on a mobile phone? I give you ZenZui. So diving in, ZenZui is these three things. The first thing is these consumer-centric, lifestyle-enhancing services, free to the consumer. I'm not talking about just news, weather, and sports. Yeah, that'll certainly be part of the puzzle. But it's much more about these highly focused lifestyle experiences. So if you're a snowboarder, you want to be able to glance down and see what the snow conditions are like at your favorite mountain. The second thing is the power of sync. The reason why all of us are using BlackBerries for email is because we enjoy that experience of interacting with an offline store and just kind of knowing and trusting that that's synchronized on the back channel over time. That's a very, very powerful concept, and that's a core value of every design decision we've made about the ZenZui architecture. We've spent 3 years incubating a back-end server synchronization platform that bidirectionally synchronizes with our front-end client on the phone. And the third thing is uppercase D design. And I don't mean just making it look pretty, but really thinking elegantly about hard solutions to elegant solutions to hard problems. And actually, my background's in design. I spent 8 years at Microsoft Research thinking about adaptive and scalable UI, working closely with my co-founder, Professor Ben Betterson at the University of Maryland, who's also a father of adaptive and scalable UI, and we've come together to build this solution that I think you'll like. So I'm going to dive right into a rapid-fire demo. Right now, you're looking at, as if we're not already there. Right now, this is the home screen of the ZenZui application. We're an application. We're not replacing the browser. We're not replacing the shell yet. And the goal is that you launch this application, and it's a new way to consume content. So right now, I'm looking at the 4 tiles in the lower left-hand corner of a 16-tile Zoom space that you, the user, have lovingly crafted to reflect your lifestyle. So this is explicitly opt-in. All these tiles you've actually onboarded, and they reflect your lifestyle very specifically. So there's explicitly no concept of spam. Now, the way that you navigate around this Zoom space is very much the way you'd navigate around a geographic map. As it turns out, humans are incredibly good at spatial navigation, incredibly bad at navigating a linear list of textual information. So what I do is I literally just drag my thumb across the surface of the screen, and I navigate around to the 4 tiles in the upper left-hand corner of my Zoom space. Or I can drag my thumb across the surface, and I'll navigate over to 4 additional tiles. Now, what if you don't have a touchscreen device? Many of you will tomorrow, of course. But what if you don't have a touchscreen device? Well, we also have this very cool adaptive UI construct where we've delimited the Zoom space into these 4 tile zones. So using just the D-pad on your keyboard, you can navigate around to these 4 tile zones. We've also done a lot of other cool things. There's never more than 9 hit targets on the screen. So if you have a non-touchscreen based device, we call directly back into a relative mapping with the keypad or the QWERTY board using this little interaction flower. So there's always this very explicit mapping. And once you get good at it as an expert user, you can fly into your content very, very quickly. But all of really the central navigational landmark of the system is this Z key. What does the Z key do? Well, as it turns out, ZenZui is a special type of graphic user interface called a ZUI, or a zooming user interface. This has existed in the academic research landscape for a number of years. When you stab the Z key, that actually zooms you out to your entire 16-tile Zoom space. And this is a heat map of where the action is in your Zoom space. You can see what's been updated in your environment. Of course, here it's four nice big finger-hittable targets. We hate the stylus. We never use the stylus. And also a direct mapping to the keypad. So you stab one of the zones and you zoom back into that environment. Now here's the cool part, is that every one of these tiles is a viral object. So we've built this whole cool back-end messaging infrastructure. So if you're sitting in a bar and you're like, oh, dude, that's cool, I want that. You can send that tile through the ZenZui data center. Of course, we're capturing how tiles flow virally. We believe very much in the wisdom of crowds. So these tiles are flowing through these social networks. Now we're an ad-based model, so we basically have a 2-tier model. The first is when you stab one of the keys on your keypad, now you're in full zoom. So that's essentially monetized as a CPM. We call it CPZ, cost per zoom, kind of gratuitous. But then when you actually execute a transaction or you step over to a mobile link, then that's actually a CPA. Quickly, this is the anatomy of a tile. We've actually worked very closely with tile developers, users, and also with ad agencies to really build the right framework for a tile, a bunch of other stuff. Fast forward. But at the end, the four things. Number one, ZenZui is fast and fresh. Everything's synchronized locally, so it's waiting to be zoomed. The second thing is it's highly personalized, so you pick your zoom space, therefore it's highly targeted. The third thing is viral. We let the coolest tiles spread around. And the fourth is it's all wrapped up in this lush, high frame rate video game-like experience. So if you're like me and you're sick of browsing content on your